In conversation with us right here at ET Now is the global CEO of Uber, Dara Khosrowshahi, and I'm going to ask him, doing business here in India, competing with Ola, what does this mean for the new CEO of Uber, because this is his first interaction with Indian media ever since he took over that very, very key role. Thanks very much for speaking to us. I'm sorry you're a little jet-lagged, but we had to squeeze in this interview.
Thanks for having me.
But I guess being in the transport business makes you travel a lot. Considering this is your first interview with an Indian media after you've taken over as the CEO of Uber, I have to begin by asking you, what does India mean for the Uber CEO, Dara Khosrowshahi?
Well, India is a key component of our growth plan. If you look at the market, it's one of our healthiest markets in terms of growth rates. We have over 300,000 active drivers now on our platform. We do over 10 million weekly trips. And when I think about Uber and where we're going to be 5 to 10 years from now, our success in India is going to play a vital part in the growth of this company and how we do in terms of innovation and in terms of where we are within the global mobility ecosystem.
So given the fact that India will be an important piece in the Uber pie globally, what are the biggest strengths and challenges that India poses for Uber?
Well, I think that as a global company, we're constantly building out systems and technologies that are global in nature that we can launch in every country that we operate in. But in a country like India, we have to make sure that we're relevant locally as well. So it's very important for me to come here to meet with a team and understand what are the unique needs of the Indian driver, what are the unique needs of the Indian consumer, and make sure that we essentially build our product behind those needs as well. Right. So if you look at India, for example, we've launched a Moto product.
That's right.
Which has been a very, very effective launch and can get from point A to B very quickly. We've launched Auto as well. So we want to make sure we've got a great global product, but we also have a local product that works as well.
So talking about local and global products, and we're going to see a mix of that, we were in conversation with one of your board members, Ariana Huffington, just last month, and she of course had great things to say about you. But besides that, she also did say last month that India is still an incredibly important market for Uber, something that you echo. But the sense we got from Uber's key investor, SoftBank, and the comments that we read seem to suggest that Uber will be focusing on recovering its market share in the US and turning more profitable in its European operations. In that sense, are we going to see Uber being a little less aggressive as far as scaling up or deploying cash in India is concerned?
No, I think we're actually going to be quite aggressive in India as far as investment goes. One of the great structural advantages that we have at Uber is that we have many profit pools, and those profit pools in the mature markets, in the US, Europe, etc., allow us actually to lean into some of the developing markets. And as CEO, I have to make sure that we continually invest for growth, not just tomorrow, but growth 5 to 10 years from now, and India is a vital part of that growth.
So while we're talking about the vital part of the growth, in September 2016, we had interviewed Travis in your headquarters in San Francisco, and much of that aggressive growth was driven by him. He tell us in that interview that he's bullish on the Bay Area, Beijing, and Bengaluru. So do we expect Uber to continue making those aggressive spends that you were looking to make in India?
Absolutely. I think that one of the great things that Travis did was he was always a lean forward kind of a founder. And we want to have that aggressive lean forward investment philosophy continue for the company. So not only are we going to invest geographically, and India is one of the key geographies, we're also investing in new technologies such as autonomous vehicles. We're investing hundreds of millions of dollars annually to make sure that we're a leader there. And we're also investing in new technologies such as vertical takeoff and landing vehicles as well, so that you can actually create not just roads on the surface, but roads in the air. So as far as our investment goes, as a mobility service provider, I think that we're investing more geographically and in technology than possibly any other player on a global basis.
What would this vertical escalation mean for traffic-clogged roads? I think it's going to be a blessing in disguise. But a little bit of a tricky question here. You compete very aggressively with Ola here in India, and yet you share an investor like SoftBank. Does that make things awkward at all?
Well, not yet. SoftBank is...
Potentially can?
I think, listen, SoftBank has a huge amount of capital, and they invest in significant categories, and they believe that the ride-sharing and hailing category is a category that's going to grow. And I think that the bet that they're making is that over a period of time, ride-sharing can be an alternative to car ownership. And that means that you're not going to have win-lose. You're going to have win-win in terms of the players in the space. So we're going to continue to compete with Ola. They're a strong competitor, but our driver sentiment, our rider sentiment, our quality continues to be market leading, and we want to make sure that continues going forward, and SoftBank can win either way.
SoftBank has its bets rather hedged with both you and Ola there, but does this also increase the potential odds of a merger with Ola, the kind that we did see with Uber China and Didi there, and that's a constant speculation?
I think it's too soon to tell, and certainly it's fun to speculate about. Right now, my focus is on the quality of our operations and our teams, and that's why I'm here. I'm here to see the teams, meet with ministers, et cetera, understand the market. At this point, I'm not particularly focused on M&A, although it's certainly fun to speculate about.
How important is profitability to the new CEO of Uber? And I keep calling you new despite the fact that you spent 6 months there, but how key is profitability to you, especially in a market like India? There is a wide speculation there that you're likely to go for IPO in 2019. Given that, how key is profitability?
I think profitability long-term is important. Any company over the long term, especially a company that's looking to go public, needs to be profitable, needs to be cash flow positive. I'm very confident that when I look at our business and I look at the markets that are maturing, in general, the profitability profile of the company overall is improving. But here in India, I believe the right thing to do is to continue to invest and invest pretty aggressively.
So this is the phase that we're going to see of investment. I must personally congratulate you because I think it takes a lot of courage to admit that you messed up. And you said that. You said we screwed up after the Waymo settlement. Do you have any regrets in the way Uber handled the rape case here in India, whether it was accessing the records of the victim or whether it was the defamation lawsuit that was recently settled? How differently would you have handled it?
I think it's tough to tell. I mean, listen, how we handled it as a company certainly left a lot to be desired, but I wasn't here. And when human beings make decisions based on imperfect data, decisions that come quickly, sometimes they make mistakes. So we made mistakes, but my job now is to look forward and make sure that we can be a company that is making decisions that every employee can be proud of. And I think in the last 6 months, I can say mission accomplished, but we got a long way to go.
Dara, is India sometimes a frustrating market given the regulatory flip-flops that one sees, whether it's on ride-sharing and some other issues like that? The rules also vary across states. It's not a uniform market, so to say. Is that something that comes as an impediment to doing business here?
I think any time that you have regulations that are different state to state, that creates friction in the system, and that actually makes it more difficult to operate to some extent, which doesn't allow our service to be everything that it can be in terms of riders and drivers. So national regulation that's consistent, that is pro-innovation, that's pro-growth, is certainly something that we would be positive on.
I will ask you a question on criticism that's often leveled against companies like yourselves or an Amazon from the local operators here, whether it's a Flipkart or an Ola, and they say India is the dumping ground for capital in some sense. You dump capital so that you can grow. And you know, they keep comparing the India model versus the China model, which is a lot more insular. What's your take on that? Is there merit in the argument that there needs to be some amount of insular doing business for Indian companies vis-a-vis foreign operators, or do you believe this is the right thing?
Well, listen, I think that to the extent that you've got a market like India that is open globally, that creates competition, that creates better product, it attracts capital, and that's a good thing, and that capital creates an economy that's thriving. And for us, for example, when I look at the Indian market, actually profitability is getting better. We're growing very, very quickly, but our profit profile in India continues to improve on a year-on-year basis, and we're actually doubling down on our local talent in India because the talent base is terrific, and we want to make sure that we have engineers who understand the market and build not just globally, but also for the Indian consumer.
I have a last question for you, and I can't not ask you this question. What would you like your stamp and Uber to be? How is Dara's Uber going to be different from Travis Kalanick's Uber?
Well, I think I'd say I want two stamps. One is that Uber started as being about cars, and I want to shift to be about mobility. I want us to be able to offer services in motos and autos, but vertical takeoff landing. I want to be able to offer services in high occupancy vehicles, etc. We are going to be a mobility company, and that requires us to build a platform that is enormous, and a platform that has never been seen before in the mobility space. I want to do it all with every employee at Uber knowing that we did the right thing, period, in terms of how we got there.
Does the image of being a nice guy play somewhere in your mind when you steer this company now?
I think that you can be a nice guy and you can be a successful guy, so why not be both?
I'll take 30 seconds of your time, and I know I've overshot my time and I'm vetoed by you, but 30 seconds of your time, your one-word answers, a quick rapid fire. An entrepreneur in India you admire?
You know, I'm going to say Modi.
Okay. What does Ola have that Uber doesn't?
Nothing.
A hobby of yours that no one knows about, or very few people do?
Dungeons and Dragons.
One thing you miss most about Iran?
The food.
A book that inspired you?
The Four Agreements.
Thank you very much for speaking to us. Such a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.